Hello, I'm Lee Songchol, a teacher at Jugam Elementary School, and I will have a presentation about disinformation and information checking. I'm currently teaching 13-year-old public school students and researching educational methods related to disinformation. Now I'll start my presentation. Have you ever heard of disinformation? Before we talk about disinformation, let's find out what it means. Disinformation means false or misleading information that is spread deliberately to deceive or fool others. The point we should focus here is whether there is a purpose of deception. Generally, disinformation is created to gain political or economic benefits, and for this purpose, it is produced in a way that cleverly distorts facts. The problem is that disinformation can be politically abused or created as a means of attacking minorities, which can threaten our community. So recently, countries such as Korea, the United States, and other European countries are calling it disinformation rather than fake news. This is because the term fake news itself is used by politicians to attack groups with different political views. And it is because it is difficult to express behavior such as memes, comments, and sharing on the internet with the word news. Teachers must tell students what disinformation is, so they must be clearly aware of the differences between similar concepts. The most similar concept is malinformation, which is true in itself, but is distributed to dishonor someone. For example, it refers to the behavior of spreading the personal information of celebrities. Another concept is misinformation, which is a typical example of news that reports false content by mistake. In the digital world, as fast forwardness, which means transmitting information quickly, has become important, there are many cases of sending out news without basic fact-checking. Therefore, students should be guided to watch the news carefully as it may be wrong. False or malicious information differs from manipulated information, but its intention to deceive others is weak. However, manipulated information is created for the purpose of deliberately deceiving someone, so it's the most vicious and worst form of behavior similar to terrorism. However, disinformation should be distinguished from parodies and April Fool's Day pranks. Parodies often twist and imitate the established cultures to make people laugh and deliver messages. April Fool's Day pranks are made for many reasons and they're designed only to make people laugh. On April Fool's Day in 2008, an American created a fake CNN site and posted the news that Bill Gates was murdered. However, a Korean broadcaster delivered the news without confirming the facts, which affected the economic sector, with people who believed in the unconfirmed news selling related stocks with uneasiness or the value of companies falling. If April Fool's Day pranks are so sophisticated that people can't even recognize them, just like disinformation, it can have a huge negative impact on society. Of course, media companies that wrote that down without checking the facts are also largely responsible for spreading false content. So, how do we check for fact and fake? How can we distinguish disinformation? This is how I teach my students. When you encounter suspicious information, ask it yourself, do it yourself, and search it yourself. The first way is to ask reliable adults around you about the content of the information. You can ask your parents or you can ask your teacher. If possible, you can ask an expert in the field via email, phone, Facebook Messenger, etc. The second way is to do it yourself. Experiencing or creating your own activities is also the most accurate way to verify information. However, it is important not to do anything dangerous or expensive. The last way is to search it yourself. Read a book or find relevant information on the internet. If your school area has a library, you can search related books, or you can search for various resources on the internet. However, when you search for data on the internet, you need to make sure that you find it in many places, not just one, and make sure you search it on a reliable site. In addition, teaching students how to search effectively is an education that makes information more accessible. In Korea, there have been groundless precautions related to the coronavirus. For example, The message on the left was sent under the name of a university president who told people to disinfect clothes with a hairdryer because the coronavirus is vulnerable to heat. I once ran a project class to check the fact of disinformation in 3 ways that I mentioned earlier. The students went to the experts at the universities around the school to study the virus, and they made their own experiment plans to measure how high the temperature of the hairdryer went up. And I read and studied articles about the virus in science magazines. Through this process, we have concluded that the information was a complete lie. I think these classes allow students to create questions themselves and search for various information. I believe these experiences can help students think critically when they encounter information and will develop a habit of checking for suspicious content. Finally, the important thing about education is that the truth can change anytime. Therefore, we should always be open-minded and be able to accept different opinions that others may have. Also, something that you know to be true may be false or partly true, so you should always have a good attitude and listen to other people's thoughts. Education response to disinformation is the ability to improve the quality of life of students and to live wisely. It is also important to protect our community, so I hope that a variety of classes can be provided at schools. Thank you very much.